it's Kales, and I am here recommending some books to you based off some TV shows you may like. Basically, this is if you like watching this TV show, you might like reading this book. That's what we've got here, so I'm gonna go for it. I just think these are similar, and I can defend why I think they're similar, and here goes nothing. If you like the show Empire on Fox, I think you'll like White Cat. The reason I say that is because White Cat is this great mobster, business, family, underbelly story with a little bit of magic. While Empire doesn't have magic and is much more realistic, contemporary based, White Cat is the same in having these gritty characters that really go to any lengths to get what they want and try and stay loyal to their family while being loyal to themselves. And it's a great book by Holly Black. It's not one of her most well-known, but it's a trilogy and I love it, and you should read it, especially if you're a fan of Empire. It's the same kind of thing, while still being different. Just trust me, okay? If you're a fan of The Big Bang Theory, I highly recommend An Abundance of Katherines by John Green, which is his most underrated book, and it's my favorite. I'm sorry. It is. It just is. It's also one of the ones where nobody dies. No spoilers, but people die in John Green books, but nobody dies in this one. Just saying. And An Abundance of Katherines is about this kid named Colin who calls himself a child prodigy, and he's highly intelligent and really smart and hangs out with this smart friend Hasim, and they go on a road trip together. And the reason that I compare it to Big Bang Theory is because it has the same type of humor, it has the same type of intelligence, and Colin tries to create a mathematical formula to figure out if a relationship is going to work or not. What could be nerdier than that? If you're a big fan of Once Upon a Time, you need to be reading Queen of Hearts by Colleen Oakes. I'm serious, guys. Like, this series is great. Also, I know we've got like the Lunar Chronicles and retellings out the wazoo, but what I love about this one is that it is kind of like a villain origin story, and you really get the underside of it all, and you don't really know what's happening, and she expands on the Wonderland world just like Once Upon a Time does. They find alternate weird ways to tell these fairy tales, and that's what Colleen Oakes is doing with the Queen of Hearts trilogy. And I feel like they also have the same level of family and empathy. She really reminds me of Regina, Dinah does, and that's why I thought of this one, is because when I thought of Once Upon a Time, I instantly go to Emma Swan and Regina, and I thought Regina, I thought Dinah, and that it was just an instant connection. So if you're a fan of Regina and you're a fan of hearing her story and how it's different and trying to find empathy for, you know, some characters who may need a little empathy and have been stereotyped, Queen of Hearts is the way that you need to be going and reading it. And it's so good. It's just so good. This one's kind of an obvious one, and I think I've talked about it before, but if you're a fan of Criminal Minds like I am and still can't believe that show is on and having new episodes, it's okay. Get a refresher with The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which is literally Criminal Minds but with teenagers. The FBI has hired these teenagers with special natural gifts. That's why they're called the Naturals. They can be natural lie detectors, natural profilers, natural calculators, like whatever it is, they have a special mental skill that allows them to help the FBI with special cases. And it's awesome. And one of the cases starts targeting one of the Naturals, which happens in Criminal Minds like all the flippin' time. I think all of them have been shot or killed or something. It's a great story about friendship and teamwork, and also it's got that great creepy sense of we're solving a mystery and FBI-ness, and yeah, but it's just YA and it's teenagers and it works. If you're a fan of Supergirl on the CW, you need to be reading the graphic novel Princeless, because both series are about badass female heroines trying to save themselves and the world. That's pretty much how that goes. Princeless is a great graphic novel that I wish had been a movie when I was a kid. I wish we had Supergirl when I was a kid too. And I feel like that this generation of women are so blessed to be able to grow up with these awesome superheroes, especially with the Wonder Woman movie coming out too. But again, while Adrian in Princeless may not have the same superpowers that Supergirl does, she still has the same determination, the same desire to be a woman and a hero at the same time. So if you're looking for those badass heroines that you just want to introduce yourself or your daughter or your nieces or other women in your life to, pick up Princeless and watch an episode of Supergirl, will you? If you're a fan of The Walking Dead, which I am not, but I love this book anyway, The Walking Dead's a little too visual for me. I would highly recommend The Endgames by T. Michael Martin. T. Michael Martin is one of my absolute favorite authors and favorite human beings on social media. I love watching him on How to Adult and his own YouTube channel as well as his Tumblr. He's a really great guy, and his book, The Endgames, is this really creepy story about zombie alien beings that have come back to Earth, and this older brother is trying to take care of his younger brother, and the two of them are trying to survive together. The reason I picked these two was because of their level of intensity. Holy crap, The Endgames is intense and thriller, and Walking Dead is that same level. It has gore, but it makes you just, exude feeling and empathy and terror, and it's just great. They're both, don't get me wrong, I'm not a big fan of The Walking Dead, but I'm a fan of Endgame. I think they're great complementary stories to each other. That's why I'm recommending them. I promise, I'm not wasting your time here. If you're a fan of Elementary, and maybe Sherlock, BBC Sherlock, I'm still gonna go with Elementary here on this one because some people who like BBC Sherlock don't like Elementary, but if you're a fan of Elementary, I highly recommend A Study in Charlotte. And the reason I did this was mostly for the male-female dynamic. Let me go on. Because the reasoning behind this, to me, is that this particular retelling of Sherlock Holmes, because both of them are, clearly, I think it's interesting when they put the male and female dynamic in there rather than the male and male dynamic, because it's a different brohood that they have as Sherlock and Watson when they're a male and a female, and it's a different one when they're a male and a male. Like, it just is a different dynamic, and it's really interesting. Also, the other reason I did this was because A Study of Charlotte and Elementary both take the idea of drugs and Sherlock's addiction to an interesting, informative level, and I think they both take it really seriously as a problem. The reason I picked A Study in Charlotte with Elementary rather than any other Sherlock retellings were for those reasons, and I think they're both good, and I think they're, again, complementary to each other and focus on similar things within this Sherlock retelling. Finally, if you're a fan of Downton Abbey, I highly recommend A Mad and Wicked Folly. They're both set in the same time period, same type of scandalous nature of it. A Mad and Wicked Folly is YA though, and the other really cool thing is that the main character in A Mad and Wicked Folly highly reminds me of Sybil, when especially both women are emphasizing the women's suffrage movement and wanting to be proactive, and yet their family's not really letting them, and just kind of like trying to break the bonds of society. It's very similar, and they're trying to break the same bonds, but told in different ways. And so if you want a different, interesting perspective, maybe of a younger person, that's always a good idea too. But if you're still wishing there was more Downton Abbey in the world, definitely read A Mad and Wicked Folly. If you like those TV shows, I highly recommend the books that I recommended down below. If you have any other recommendations of TV shows that are really good, or books that are really good, or if you like this TV show, read this book, let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say on that front. Yeah, because it's a unique way to look at books, and TV shows for that matter. Until next time, guys, bye! Where are those books? Oh, they're over here. This is what I get for doing too many videos in one day, and I have all these stacks of books, and I'm like, wait, what video am I on? Hi guys, it's Kales, and I'm recommending some words.